Dude, Georgia loves themselves some Bill and Chase Elliott. What do you mean you hope they don't become race car drivers?
That was just a proper analogy. You know what I mean by that. I would be super proud if my kids were race car drivers. But I was trying to make an analogy with, like, literally my worst fear was that they would have bad taste in music.
We had his cohort on 3 years ago, one of the Rowland brothers here in the Freak Nation, and now Will Turpin from Collective Soul joining us here in the Freak Nation. Welcome, Freak Nation, Will.
Yeah, man. Glad to be here.
All right, let's get this over with. I'm a full-fledged Collective Soul snorkeler. Do you enjoy more putting down great music through your studio or hearing the reception from crazy, drunk fans?
It's one of those things that after 28 years now that we've been doing this, I need both of those things. I need to create, and I need to be able to go out and play live as well. So it's kind of they both feed off each other, and we live off both of those things still. If we've been on tour for a long time, we yearn to get back in the studio, and vice versa.
We're going to see you up at Flagstaff this weekend with Switchfoot, and I'm curious if your approach to live music has changed at all, where you had to prove something and you really had to blow it out, whether you're opening up or you're the headliner, because of maybe the backup that you had or the one that you were backing up. Do you still feel that, man, you got to leave it all out there, or do you try and preserve because this is a long tour?
Yeah, it's more like, yeah. I mean, because the hour and a half we're on stage, it's pretty simple. As far as how we approach it, it used to be more of an X's and O's, kind of like, let's make sure we technically do what we're supposed to do. Now it's more like it's about the energy and how to get that energy going between the crowd and the band. We've been calling our live shows a celebration of life for a long time now, about 10 years. So it's more about just getting out there, celebrating, and getting that energy exchange going. It's not about the X's and O's anymore.
And that has been written about this tour. I think it was after your St. Louis appearance a couple of weeks ago that, yes, they said something along the lines of your chemistry on stage is just on fire and your interaction with your audience is almost second to none. So, yeah, that brings another element of fun for everybody in the room, I would imagine. Yeah,
I think that's the purpose. Like, we're all celebrating, the crowds and the fans have, we don't take it lightly that they've made these Collective Soul songs, the soundtrack to their memories, soundtrack to their lives. So it's about celebrating the memories and just having a good time, forgetting about all those day-to-day real worries in life, and celebrating the good and the memories.
I like how you say the soundtrack to your life. You have such a diverse and incredible music background from when you were a kid to now, and with your dad. What is the soundtrack to your life, Will Turpin? What is the music that defines you?
Yeah, I'm kind of steeped in the originals. A lot of the British Invasion, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, and then the 80s. Growing up in the 80s, it was U2, The Police, NXS, the Outfield, REM, all those things. They were considered alternative in their day, but that's what we were listening to in Georgia. We were listening to that stuff, and I would say U2 and the Police and the Beatles would be a big part of the soundtrack to my life.
Hold on a second, not REM?
He said REM.
Yeah, definitely. We were so proud of REM when we were teenagers. Proud of a band from Georgia that, I mean, look, the heritage in Georgia is super rich, and we're members of the Georgia Music Hall of Fame. So it's a great fraternity to be a part of. But REM was the first band that wasn't a Southern rock band or soul and R&B. So it was really big for us because we were in Georgia, but we knew our sound, or what we were gravitating towards was never going to be quote unquote Southern rock. But we definitely are wild-eyed Southern boys, but it's not necessarily Southern rock sound. So REM was a big deal to us because they came out of Athens and they created kind of their own sound. And so that gave us a little strength and a little bit of something that we knew we could go for it.
All right, I'm going to fast forward here just a little bit. I wasn't going to get to this until later, but you brought up Georgia, and it reminds me of an interview you had I believe it was soon after the world finally reopened and you guys were finally back on tour, and you were asked about how your music has changed or if it has changed with you being a parent. And you said, when you become a parent, your worst fears become, I hope my kids don't get on drugs. I hope they don't become race car drivers. And then I hope they don't have a bad taste in music. Dude, Georgia loves themselves some Bill and Chase Elliott. What do you mean you hope they don't become race car drivers?
That was just a proper analogy. You know what I mean by that. I would be super proud if my kids were race car drivers. But I was trying to make an analogy with, like, literally my worst fear was that they would have bad taste in music, and I was trying to make an analogy.
Exactly. Nope, I agree. I'm just giving you a hard time because, yes, racing is a dangerous sport, but we do love it, and the safety enhancements are amazing. But yeah, bad taste in music, that's an absolute fear.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Dad, what are you going to buy at the store today?
I'm out of Lucas Oil fuel treatment, so let's jump in here and grab us some.
Well, do they have the Lucas Oil parts cleaner and degreaser?
I bet they do.
Well, how about the Lucas Oil power steering fluid?
They'll have that too.
Even the octane booster?
I won't be surprised if they do.
My favorite red and tacky grease?
Yes, they will, babe.
Dad, when we're done, can we grab some candy?
Deal, but you gotta share.
Awesome! Lucas works.
Will Turpin, bassist, Collective Soul. I can't help but follow up with that. That really, you didn't say in there though that you're a race car fan. Is there any race car? Would you find yourself in a NASCAR race or maybe a sports car race at Road Atlanta?
Oh yeah. I've been in the booth a couple times with some of the folks there at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Matter of fact, Collective Soul, the high school that we all went to, is a solid 10 miles from Atlanta Motor Speedway. We could hear them crank up the engines on certain days from where we grew up. So yeah, I mean, we love it. We love going to the races, and we've had a good partnership with NASCAR over the years, being able to play some rock and roll at some of their venues and some of their events. So yeah, it's something we enjoy.
Actually, hold on, Scott, man. I'm cutting you off for a reason, and I apologize. But it was bands like you guys. NASCAR was such or at least typed as a country rock, sort of sport. And it was bands like you and REM and others that actually got them out of that. You said, hey, whoa, there's more that exists in the South besides just NASCAR and country music. It's us too. And you were one of the bands that did that.
Yeah, I guess so. I hope so. We just do our thing. We create from the heart and go with feel and the influence and the things that our music has done. It's something you couldn't really imagine or try to draw up. It's magical.
So Will Turpin, I did a little needle drop getting ready for this interview, and I'm a writer. All the lyrics I heard were about bad relationships. Cut me loose, leave me alone. I mean, is that the experience of Collective Soul? There's got to be some good relationships somewhere in this band.
I mean, look, Ed's our lyricist, and I think he belongs amongst the best. He writes mainly from things that we've experienced ourselves or somebody we know has experienced it, and he's really good at allowing the words to be singular, really, to whoever's listening to it. So you can kind of make these songs personal to your own life, really. But yeah, I mean, look, man, we're positive. We're trying to speak about love and all the good things in life. There's a few adverse moments in our life that have made for good music as well. There has been some breakups in the band, a couple divorces, and but sometimes those moments create good art.
So the one that just came out, Cut the Cord, I think it was August 12th. What is this, the 25th? So a couple of weeks ago, and your latest album was Vibrating. Yeah, wow. I remembered that. That's amazing. You see the effect that Kenny Sargent has had on this whole guy?
Right.
Old Motown guy. But the first thing I heard was Cut the Cord. And it's like, go away, leave me alone. You've been bad for me. And that must have come after somebody's divorce.
Really, it's more of a getting past maybe more of a analogy with somebody growing up, a child growing up, and cutting the umbilical cord from their parents.
Oh,
Ooh.
all right. I missed.
Ooh.
Yeah, but it's tricky with the way you
that.
can use these songs for anything that is in your life as well.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It depends on your individual perspective.
Let me sneak in one more. You mentioned racing and race cars, and the South is all about race cars, and the Atlanta, Georgia area is about race cars. Please tell me you don't drive a Tesla or a Volkswagen Rabbit. And
It's a Prius. No.
oh,
I'm just kidding.
It's where we're going, Statman. It's where we're going.
yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I just wanted him to have something that rumbles up and shakes the ground when he starts it up in the morning.
My toy is actually it's a 2003 Toyota Land Cruiser. I like canoeing, fishing, camping, and I have rigged. It is a custom Land Cruiser at this point. I don't think it'll ever leave me because it is custom to me. I do have a Tesla screen in the 2003. It's all touch screened, and I've done what I can with my little Land Cruiser. It's nice.
All quiet stuff. I don't mean to take over this interview, but with a guy that stands on the stage for 90 minutes in the midst of a 4-month tour right now, noise is uppermost in your mind, I would imagine, after 35 years of the big sound wall. And now when you get a chance to get away, you go fishing, you go camping, you get away from all of that and find something quiet, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love taking my fishing rods and the canoes. And the kayaks. We love it, man. We go north, we go south, we go towards the ocean or towards the mountains. Me and my boys. I've got 3 boys, and they're older now. I'm officially middle-aged, about to be officially empty nester as well. Matter of fact, that was one of them that just interrupted our interview with the cell phone. That was a dude. He just started college, and my oldest is 23, and then I've got a 16-year-old too. So now they're loading up the canoes on their own and kind of going on their own every now and then.
And they don't have bad taste in music.
They don't. They don't. Thank God.
For whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Do you have the balls, Will Turpin, to tell me what a bad taste in music is?
Do anyone else have the balls to do that?
Come on, Turpin.
Got you on that one, partner.
Maybe some really bad pop, really bad candy pop. Some of I'm a fan of country music, but some of the country music that's getting just kind of run through the mill is too simple and too there's no depth. So anything, to me, it's not a certain genre. It's just anything that has real depth. I love country music. I like hip hop. I love Eminem. I think Snoop Dogg's one of the greatest. That Super Bowl performance last year, that was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. So I like something from every genre, but it's got to have depth and it's got to have meaning and feeling. So that's how I'll dance around that subject.
Okay, no, but that's a great point because you span decades now in this business. And was there ever a time when you had to do battle with agents or labels on that depth and they wanted you to be a certain sound and you're like, no, that's not us?
Not really, because the way we started on an independent label and we had recorded and produced ourselves. And that first record was successful. So Atlantic Records they stayed out of the way with us because the first one was successful. And the second record, we went right into the studio after the first tour and everything, but they would be there for support, but they were never there trying to tell us what to do. And I think it had a lot to do with how we started. We grew up in the studio, self-proclaimed studio rats, if you will. We're creators in the studio, and we didn't need any help or direction there. And Atlantic was smart enough to let it go.
Nice.
Will Turpin, Collective Soul, joining us here in the Freak Nation. New album Vibrating is out now. You can get it on all audio apps across the planet. And you mentioned country music, and I'm going to try and make this story really short. Dolly Parton covered Shine, and I'm always curious how bands find out that other bands or soloists are covering their music, does Dolly Parton or her group call you guys saying, hey, do you mind if she cuts Shine, or does she just do it and then send you the checks later?
Yeah, that's always a good question, because people think that you would have to call and get permission, but you don't have to get permission. She recorded, we heard about it, knew about it probably right before it was released. You don't have to get permission to record anybody's songs. The royalties automatically go to the songwriter. So what an honor that was, and it still is to this day, to know that Dolly recorded our song. And there's a good story behind it. It was her husband's favorite song, and she wanted to re-record that song and do a version for him.
That's badass.
Wow.
Whoa. Hey,
Wow.
When Dolly Parton cuts Shine, the only money that she would make off of that song is just when she plays it live. Is that what I'm hearing?
And sales. I mean, if there was a CD involved back in that day, there would have been some CD sales, but all the writers publishing, would go to the writers.
The weekend you've been waiting for is back. Are you ready to feel the ground shake? Are you ready for the sound of thunder? Are you ready for an adrenaline-pumping 3-second thrill ride? The NHRA Camping World Drag Racing Series returns to Worldwide Technology Raceway September 30th through October 2nd. See legendary superstars John Forrest, Ron Capps, Tim Wilkerson, Rob Hyde, and Anton Brown battle it out in the countdown for the championship. The NHRA Midwest Nationals. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Illinois South Tourism. Go to www.raceway.com to get your tickets now.
Will Turpin, Collective Soul bassist, percussionist. I didn't see this in the notes. It might have been the first paragraph that I skipped over, but you talked about soul music and your broad range of interest. Where does Collective Soul come from? That the first thing I thought of was, I think in Northern England, they have a soul thing that goes back. They play this music. And where did the name Collective Soul come from?
It's actually from it was Ayn Rand novel, The Fountainhead. She describes mankind as a collection of souls.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
So there's a little twist on that.
Yeah.
Ooh. Will Turpin joining us here in the Freak Nation, and I want to get back to Dolly Parton, and that's another one that you don't realize until you do research, or you just become an old fart like me, of what she's meant.
Oh wow!
To music, music in general. Just a great freaking writer, a lyricist. It's really second to none what she's penned.
Yeah, I mean, legend is like that's an understatement. I mean, she is really, really, what an artist and what a career. We couldn't thank her enough. I remember she performed live. I believe it was Jay Leno. She performed it live, and really the best thing we thought we could do was we made sure she had some roses in her dressing room, and we thanked her. But what a legend, and just a beautiful woman. Every time I see her on interviews or anywhere, she's just impressive to me, and the career is super impressive.
Freak Nation, it's called Vibrating, the new record from Collective Soul. Will Turpin joining us from the band here, Lucas Oil Studios. You're on tour now, a relatively new tour. Take me back to when the pandemic hit. You were coming off a tour with Gin Blossoms. What did the band do, and how does a band that's sold 10 million records adjust to being off the road for that length of time?
I mean, I guess like everybody else, we were just all of a sudden, everybody was grounded. I remember we had just played a show in Nashville at the Ryman, and it was actually the night that tornado ripped through Nashville. So we were upstairs at our buddy's place, Live Oak. I'll go ahead and drop his name of his bar, and we were upstairs, and the TVs were saying tornado warning, tornado warning. Of course, it's about midnight, and we're all like, yeah, sure, tornado warning. And then we started seeing like power transformers pop in the distance. So we were there that night. That was the last show we played in March 2020. And it was about 3 days later, they closed everything down. And I remember thinking, oh, this will take about maybe a month, maybe 6 weeks, and we'll be back to normal. So, we just found ourselves at home. We stayed on we as a band, we stayed in communication. But we certainly were going to try to figure out how to record. And it was fall of 2020. We were back in the studio together trying to figure out how to record and make more music, which, it's not that hard for us. We just get together and we start. It still happens just the same way it did 30 years ago. We get together and when the magic happens, my hair is on my arm. They just stand straight up and I know something's right.
That's easier said than done, though. How many bands have we heard about that have issues or breakups? Wow, you guys clearly have a chemistry that is awesome.
Yeah, I don't know how we can still do it because a lot of bands can't, but a lot of bands do. A lot of bands from our era are still creating great music. And like I said, I'm fortunate that, we can still do it.
All right. Will Turpin here in the Freak Nation. I'm upset that Crasher not going to be able to bring our 8-year-old daughter to see Collective Soul. We'll be bringing some buddies of ours, but we'll say this.
We love the generations that come to our shows now. We see it a lot. We see multi-generations, and it's not even wild for us to see a 60-year-old grandfather, 40-year-old father, and a 20-year-old teenager child. To see 3 generations at our shows is even common now. So it's an honor. So I wish your kids could be there too, maybe next time.
We want to imbibe a little bit, so we're being a little selfish.
Listen, I got her backstage for Judas Priest and Skinner. She's good for 4 years, bro.
Yeah.
And now she's got Carly Rae Jepsen downstairs jamming to that.
No, we're cutting that off. No more vocal lessons with that song anymore.
Hey, look, Will take those freaking residuals, man. Call me maybe, please.
You're right.
Yeah.
You are right.
Hey, Will, thanks for taking time out with this, buddy. We'll see you over the weekend in Flagstaff.
Looking forward to it, man. Appreciate you guys.